Good morning. My name is Leslie Williams, and I'm in San Diego, California. Today's date is 3/13/2013, and the time is 10:36 a.m. And before I start making statements concerning the theme of this YouTube video, and the fact that you're going to have to look in the description of this YouTube video to see a video that'll be a continuation of these statements and cooperating material and additional YouTube titles that you can copy and paste into YouTube, so you can see proof, undisputable evidence and proof that I'm a target of this crime in San Diego, and cooperative material that you can synthesize into the statements concerning the videos that are going to be in the description of this YouTube video. I'm going to go ahead and make some particular statements that have directly to do with the 2006 campaign in reference to some of the remembered at this time places and individuals that played a role in the 2006 campaign. MTS bus drivers, okay? The McDonald's off of Rosecrans and Nimitz Boulevard. The Point Loma Library was a huge player in 2006. The gas station that is just recently closed on the corner of Nimitz and Rosecrans. It literally just closed, I think, here in the last 2 months. The perpetrator, the persons who worked in that gas station engaged in gang stalking towards me in 2006. Passengers on buses in 2006, and other individuals in separate businesses that were downtown that I frequented about 5 or 6 times as a result of me going downtown and trying to learn where the Hall of Justice and stuff was when I was down there, and then I'd go into businesses to buy like a burrito at a dollar store. You gotta remember, I was only out here between 1 and 34 days in 2006. Now that you understand just a few places that I remember right now that engaged in organized gang stalking towards me in 2006, I'm going to go ahead and make the statements that are the theme of this particular video. I was out here between 1 and 34 or 36 days in 2006. I came here from Michigan in 2006. And as a result of me being a military wife out here in 1983, I was able to remember specific roads as a result of living and working close by Nimitz Road in Rosecrans. I worked at a Taco Bell that's no longer there. I think it's a Jack in the Box now. So, what I did was, as a result of remembering these specific areas, these specific intersections, Rosecrans and Nimitz, because my ex-husband was stationed at the naval base right off of Rosecrans and Nimitz, down off of Rosecrans, just past Cannon Street, C-A-N-N-O-N, and where the post office is. So as a result of me remembering these intersections, I remembered that the bus transportation was reliable, because I took a bus to work at Taco Bell back in '83, and I remembered the intersections, the cross intersections, because Nimitz Boulevard had a mental association in my mind because the Nimitz ship. So I was able to remember, and Rosecrans also had a pictorial representation because of the word Rose of Rosecrans. So I was able to remember that specific intersection. Okay, I anchored it in my mind in '83 because I had to remember it in order to get to work. Now I'm going to go ahead and now start flying right into the statements concerning 2006. In 2006, I came out here between 1 and 35 days and decided to camp right off of Rosecrans and Nimitz Boulevard. I arrived at night, so I had to hurry up and find a place so I could go to sleep. And I ended up staying there throughout the entire time when I was out here in 2006. I was hiking in a tent. And as a result, what I did was I asked some people if they knew where a library was that was close by, and they told me that there was one right up the street. So I got on the 923 bus and went to the Point Loma Library. I was gang stalked on the Greyhound bus here to California in 2006, but I didn't know what was happening towards me in Michigan and on the Greyhound bus here to California, and in California in 2006 was gang stalking, because I didn't have a name for it yet. I didn't discover that the crime that was happening towards me openly, overtly, and sometimes directly since 2002 was gang stalking. I didn't find out that the actual name of the crime until June 9th, 2009. Yeah, even years after I left San Diego in 2006 and went back to Michigan. The point I'm trying to make is that when I came out here in 2006, between 1 and 35 days, I was gang stalked on a feverish scale, but I did not know what was happening to me was gang stalking. So as a result of me discovering that the Point Loma Library was right up the road from where I was hiking at, I started going there at least 3 to 4 times a week, every week, for those between 1 and 36 days when I was out here in 2006. And I was being gang stalked along all my routes, including at the library. Now, there was a specific individual who played a direct role in direct conversation tactics towards me that worked at the Point Loma Library. Her name was Mimi. And I remember her name because I used to have an old friend from Michigan who at that time I thought was a close friend. Her name was Marie, and she went by the name of Mimi. Okay? So I was lucky to remember her name. Okay? And also, when she had engaged in these direct conversation methods, I asked her name cleverly on a subsequent date when I saw her again. Also, a Point Loma Library security guard, he was Hispanic. I remembered him because he played a direct role in numerous organized gang stalking physical gestures, okay, and other Point Loma Library staff. Now, at that time in 2006, I thought it was just friends of the perpetrators from Michigan that had stalked me to California, until I started noticing that some of the people that were harassing me in the Point Loma Library were checking out books with California licenses. Yes, because I had applied for a library card as well at that library. Now, I want you to understand something. When I started noticing this and started noticing that the government employees, because library employees are government employees, when I started noticing they were harassing me, and that people that had California licenses that were checking out books were harassing me, I knew that there was something more to this than just friends of friends following me to California from Michigan. So I started getting more anxious. And then when I started noticing the McDonald's employees and management engaging in gang stalking towards me, okay, that even had some of the themed relationships in reference to personal information that happened in Michigan, I knew that somebody that had a power position somehow was orchestrating this, okay? What I want fellow San Diegans and fellow Californians to understand something is that, dang, I lost my train of thought. Oh, what happened to me in Michigan caused a huge psychological trauma, okay? So when I came out here in 2006, I was still in a psychological trauma effect. And then when I realized that I was being stalked on the Greyhound bus to here in 2006, and then stalked and harassed in the same way that I was harassed in Michigan in 2006 out here in San Diego, by people that I have never met, by restaurant managers and owners, okay, and employees, and then Point Loma Library staff and employees, and then people coming in with California licenses, because when I would stand in line to check out a movie, they were in line in front of me and behind me, and when they would check out their material, I noticed they had California licenses. So you got to remember, I'm experiencing all this stuff, and the same exact harassment was the same exact harassment that was tied into traumas in Michigan, because in organized gang stalking expeditions, they engage in the same exact templates of methods. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, I'm just going to give you this fast tidbit of information in reference to that. You can go to Google and type in live leak Greg Skamansky and Julian McKinney. Okay, it's got to do with microwave harassment and mind control. Please do not let that steer you away from investigating the statements in this video, because over time you will understand why that particular radio interview broadcast with Greg Skamansky and Julian McKinney is being made in reference to gang stalking, because they have specific types of technological resources that they use against targets from a distance. But in that radio interview, Julian McKinney flat out states that gang stalking is a nationwide syndicate and that they operate on the same methods and tactics towards every target. Okay? Now, when I started going to the Point Loma Library, I started making emails, and since in my mind I thought it was the perpetrators, because that was anchored in my mind first before I started noticing that California residents were actually harassing me, not people that I believed followed me from Michigan. First, I believed it was them that followed me from Michigan, and that was already anchored in my mind. While I'm being distracted on a daily basis with the harassment, and because of one of my specific learning disabilities, it's a little hard. At that time, I did not have a full grasp on how it was being expedited. So it was already anchored in my mind that people from Michigan had stalked me to California. But then when I started noticing being harassed by the specific places and employment descriptions that I've already mentioned, I started noticing that there's something more bigger in play here, but yet still did not have a name for it. Okay? And that started making me even more anxious. Okay? Now, so I started making emails and sending emails and even writing letters and sending them certified mail return receipt to a prosecutor in Wayne, Michigan. that covered the area concerning where the crimes happened to me in Michigan. And I made some direct statements in these emails about the Point Loma Library and about being stalked from Michigan to California. I even mentioned interstate stalking as a federal crime, because in my mind I believed I had been stalked by friends of the perpetrators from Michigan to California. I didn't know that it was a nationwide syndicate back then. Look in the description of this YouTube video for a manifesto of a manager of GangStalking. He flat out states they're a nationwide syndicate, and that when a target moves from one state to the next, the syndicate that it was in the previous state the target was in will pay the syndicate that's in the state the target's going into to take over in the campaign towards the target. Yes. Now, over time I've discovered this is about racketeering, human trafficking, and insurance fraud. Yes, and it's got a lot to do also with definitely with the organized crime that's in the system at the probate lawyer and judge level, where they try to co-opt you, to co-opt your finances and to exploit your insurance and exploit you sexually in syndicated run organized crime group home. Yeah, or institution. Yeah. Now, getting back to what happened in 2006, I was sending emails about some of the experiences of Michigan, what I believe that how the motives that they were connected to, how I believe that I was stalked from Michigan to California, even though I was, but it wasn't in the way I thought it was, and about the Point Loma Library staff, and I even mentioned verbal cues and specific things that were going on in the Point Loma Library, and I also made a notary concerning Point Loma Library staff. Now, on November 5th, 2006, a San Diego police officer approached me in a hiking area that I was hiking at right off of Rosecrans and Nimitz. And she said that she said a neighbor had called her as a result of a neighbor spotting me, but she never gave me that neighbor's name. Then as she was talking to me, I heard over her radio that was attached to her belt a statement by a male person. He had to be either a male dispatch or a male police officer. And that statement was as follows: "You don't have to worry now, the stalkers are gone." Okay? While she was influencing my thinking with threats that if I leave this area and camp out another place, and that if I'm caught, I'll be arrested and will have to pay huge fines. And she said, anywhere you go to camp in San Diego, if you're caught, each time you will be arrested and you will have to pay huge fines. Okay? So she anchored fear in my mind while anchoring that it's okay now to go back to Michigan because the stalkers were gone. Because at that time, see, cyber surveillance is a method of gang stalking. And I had put in my emails to Kim Worthy that I believed that I was being stalked from Michigan to California, to San Diego. So when they broadcasted and transmitted that statement over her radio, and then right after it was made, she turned it down, it made me believe that the stalking situation had ended. Because that night, the night before and that morning, I had heard no harassment outside of my tent. I was experiencing even harassment outside of my tent once I got into my tent. When I got back to my hiking area each night, from my running around to the library and to grocery stores and restaurants and stuff like that. So that led, plus I had a migraine. I discovered years later that some of the technological resources of organized gang stalking can produce a migraine. And the manifesto flat out states it, that they can bring on artificial headaches. So think about this. I got a migraine that developed the night before, okay? Then, it was actually 2 nights before, but if everybody migraine sufferer knows that when you get a migraine, it can last for up to 5 days. 2 nights before, a migraine developed, okay? And then she approaches me at my hiking area with the statement over a walkie-talkie to make me believe the stalking situation had ended, while anchoring huge fear that if I'm caught hiking anywhere again in San Diego, each time I'm caught, I'll have to pay huge fines and I'll be arrested, while not having a backup hiking place already found, while having a migraine. So basically what she did was she kept asking me where I'm from. I told her Michigan. She goes, well, there's no use of you hiking here in San Diego. She goes, there's no place to hike in San Diego, and if you're caught, you'll be arrested. You'll have to pay huge fines each time you're arrested, while I got a migraine, while I'm being told to leave the hiking area I'm at right now, while being told the stalking situation has ended. The whole goal was to influence me to go back to Michigan, which is what they did, and which is what I did. They even drove me to the Greyhound station, where I was tortured nonstop every single day, sexually exploited, financially ripped off like you would not believe, all those years between 2006 up until the date I came back again to San Diego on August 8th, 2011. Now I have undisputable, physical, tangible, in-your-face, literal, huge amounts of proof that I'm a target of this crime again since I arrived back in San Diego since August 8th, 2011. Yeah, for the first time since that 2006 experience when I was out here between 1 and 34 days. How did they know I came back to San Diego on August 8, 2011? Because I was gang stalked from Connecticut to here, and I was only in Connecticut for 2 months. I went back to Michigan in 2006. I stayed in Michigan up until April of 2011, and then went to Connecticut for 2 months. Left Connecticut and came back here and arrived back here on August 8, 2011. I was gang stalked on a fever scale in Connecticut. It's a nationwide syndicate. So, now that I have undisputable proof that I am a target of this crime. Oh, and I want to just hurry up and make this statement before I forget. In 2006, I never had no physical interactions whatsoever with any San Diego police officer at all. I never approached one of them and told them I was being stalked or harassed by anybody. So why would that transmission over her radio say, it's okay now, you don't have to worry, the stalkers are gone? Why would that come over her radio for me to hear? Yeah, why? I never told one soul in 2006 that I was being stalked out here, and I didn't know what was happening to me was gang stalking. None of the emails I sent from the Multnomah Library say gang stalking, but they do say stalking. And they do mention tactics that describe gang stalking tactics. Yes. Now, look in the description of this YouTube video. That, for a YouTube title, that'll be a continuation of these statements. That YouTube video will undeniably, without any doubt whatsoever in your mind when it comes to common sense thinking, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, or analytical processing. Yes, I have to state this because I want you to understand that there is no way whatsoever anybody that's got any type of deductive reasoning, in other words, where they can take something and deliberate the facts, okay, would be able to walk away from what's described in the video that's a continuation of this one, and that YouTube video title will be in the description of this YouTube video, where it will literally show you proof that I'm a victim of this crime again in San Diego since August 8, 2011 up to this date, March 13, 2013. Undisputable proof that I am a victim of this crime and that I have experienced it every single day since I have arrived back in San Diego from Connecticut. And I was only in Connecticut for 2 months, and I went to Connecticut from Michigan. I was in California in 2006, came here in 2006 from Michigan, left when I was out here from 1 to 34 days of being here in San Diego between 1 and 34 days in 2006, went back to Michigan from San Diego in 2006. Went back to Michigan from November 2006 all the way up until April of 2011, okay? In April 2011, left Michigan, went to Connecticut for 2 months, and then came out here again. And I have been gang stalked, harassed, sexually exploited, robbed and ripped off, including my insurance, on a non-stop basis, literally every single day. Every day. And this actually started before I even came to California in 2006, in Michigan, openly, in 2002. I've been a target of this crime openly now in a psychological, traumatized way every single day since 2002. And as a result of what I have connected between the time this started towards me openly since 2002, overtly and sometimes directly, okay, and then all the discoveries and information that's been able to be synthesized, the evidence has been cross-referenced back to literally 1979. Yes. It is highly, highly, highly believed that my parents were involved in organized crime that had military connections. Yes. And that's where some of the technological resources of organized gang stalking come into play at. And over time you will understand this if you stay with my videos. My father was Chief MP to General Curtis LeMay. I had NASA retired in my family, high-ranking Air Force personnel retired in my family, and listen to this. You know how I referred you to the live lead broadcast with Grudge Skamansky and Julian McKinney? She talks about microwave harassment and mind control. Well, when you stay with my videos and you discover the microwave hearing effect, which is directly connected to the Grudge Skamansky and Julian McKinney article, and then you go to the bottom of Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance, you'll see 3 PDF links. The first 2, remote neural monitoring and the microwave hearing effect. The microwave hearing effect was discovered as a result of submarine radars communications. When I was out here in 1983, my ex-husband was a submarine radar antenna electrician. Fellow San Diegoans, I have been tortured like you would not believe, okay? Sexually exploited, ripped off like you would not believe out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and my insurance has been exploited, and they're still targeting me. Yes. Please look in the description of this YouTube video for some cooperating evidence that is literally in your face evidence. And when you witness this evidence, you will literally walk away and state to yourself, there is no way that you can even deny this crime's happening to me as a result of the exacting, in other words, I'm just going to make this last statement. Do you see this Sprite bottle? This Sprite bottle exists in space and time. It has physical integrity. You cannot deny that it exists. You cannot perceive that it doesn't exist just because you want to possibly apply another meaning to it. The evidence that I'm going to show you in the description of the YouTube video that is in the description of this one is undeniable. And when you witness it, you will literally walk away and say, this woman, this crime has happened to this woman and is happening to this woman. Undisputable proof. And the only thing I want fellow San Diegoans and fellow Californians to know is the truth and who played a role in it, so they can know the truth. Thank you.